When we work with paint, we have to prepare our paint supplies to begin with. So I have filled egg cartons full of paint, and each table is going to get a tray with an egg carton, some paintbrushes, and a cup of gold and silver. If you are fourth period, you're going to open up the lids, and these popsicle sticks should already be placed in each color for you. And then what you can do is put the gold and the silver on the opposite side of the colors, and those lids can just come off and sit next to the cups. Please do not throw the lids away so we can use them again at the end of the class. Then on your tray are popsicle sticks that you can put one in the gold and one in the silver. So when we paint, we only need a small amount because our projects are small. So the popsicle sticks are your scoops to put your paint onto your palette that you'll be painting from. So if you know that you want the color straight from the egg carton, then all you do is take a small scoop, and then you wipe it on your plate, and then that popsicle stick goes right back in the same color that it came out of, so we're not contaminating or mixing up the original colors. Only take the amount of paint that you're going to use in one class period, which is just a small amount of paint. But if you are wanting to mix your own paint color for your project, then I'm going to show you how we do that. So say, for example, that I want a darker red than the one that's given to me. So I'm going to scoop a little bit of red onto my plate, and I put the red stick right back where it came from. And if I want to darken my red, I know I need to add black to the red. So I know that I need to add a little bit of black into my red to darken my red. I'm going to use a paintbrush handle to do all my mixing. And the fastest way to mix a color is to put the darker color into the lighter color with small amounts at a time. So I'm going to use the back end of my paintbrush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of paint, and then I'm going to mix that into my color. And then I'm just going to kind of roll the brush on the side of the plate, and I can use my paper towel to wipe the paint off of the handle of my paintbrush. And then if I need it to get darker, I can add more black. If that's too dark, then what I can do is put a little red next to the color I made, and then just move a little bit of this mixed color into the red to create a more medium tone to that color. So the same would be true if I need to lighten my color. I'm going to get a little bit of white, and I'm going to put white on the plate. I always put the darker color into the lighter color. So I'm going to scoop a little bit of the darker color, and I'm going to mix that into the white if I want to create a lighter version of that red color. So the really nice thing about acrylic paint that we're working with is once it's dried, you can paint over it with a new color next class, and you won't even be able to see the old color. When I'm done mixing, I wipe off the handle of my paintbrush. So I'm only going to put the amount of paint I need in one class on my tray, and then I am ready to start painting. However, I also have gold and silver as an option for you. So you can make any color become metallic if you want it to have a little bit of shine to it. If you're using colors that are the warm colors, pinks, reds, oranges, and yellows, you're going to want to start with a gold base to begin with. So I'm going to put some gold on my plate. And then I'm going to use the handle of my paintbrush to scoop some of that color into the gold, and then I can mix it up, and now my red is going to become metallic. If I'm using the cool colors, the greens, the blues, the violets, I'm going to start with silver as my base. I would put silver on my plate and do a little bit of mixing. I should never see your entire plate covered with paint. You're using way too much paint than you can in one single class period, so small amounts at one time. Then, when you are ready to paint, I'm ready to paint, I'm going to be working on top of a messy mat, but also I can work inside of my tray on my tin foil. So you decide which item you want to start painting first, the pen or the base, but you need to do this separately and not sit the pen in the base while you paint because you don't want them to get stuck shut. So I'm going to be painting my dog bone red, and I'm just going to choose a paintbrush from the lid of my paint tray, and I am going to start painting. Now, I could paint right on top of my tinfoil, or I could hold it in my hand if I want to do that. When you paint, you only want a small amount of paint on your brush at a time. So when I load my brush, there should not be paint going all up into the metal piece. I just want it on the end of my brush. And then when I paint, I'm trying to thoroughly coat the clay. So I might need to paint from multiple directions to make it cover all the crevices and cracks that are inside of my clay. You might need to do more than one coat of paint if it's going on really thin. When I grade this assignment, I'm looking for neatness in your painting. So if you notice, I am smoothing out my brush strokes as I paint. I'm painting side to side or back and forth. What I'm not doing is I'm not smashing the brush onto the clay, and I'm not leaving big, huge chunks of paint on the surface. That's just wasting the paint. So I'm going to spread all that color all over, and I'm not going to waste as much paint that way. And I'm even going to paint down inside the hole that my pen is going to sit in. And then I might get to a point where I need to stop painting my base because I'm not going to have a dry surface to hold it on, and then I could switch over to painting my pen while my base starts to dry. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Next is switch over to my pen. I'm going to even out all these brush strokes first before the paint starts to dry. So I'm going to get all the thick, chunky areas spread out neater. And then I'm switching over to my pen. So I am done with red. When I am done cleaning my paint colors, you guys are going to be sharing a water bowl at your table. One side of your water bowl has a wet sponge that you're going to wipe the brush off in, and there's a little water around the sponge. Then, once you've got a majority of the paint off your brush, swish it around in the clean water, and then you can always dry it off before you get your next color to start to paint with. When we clean up today, you need to clean your brushes, rinse them out and clean them. You're going to set the brushes on the tray. Then your base and your pen need to be back inside of your cardboard on top of your tinfoil. Make sure you're using tinfoil so that the paint doesn't glue to the cardboard. And then these will go on your tray like normal. And then if you are fifth period, you're the last ones to use the paint, what you're going to do is move these paint brushes so they're tipping towards the middle. You're going to wipe off the gold and set that popsicle stick on the tray, and then you're going to snap the lid on, and then you're going to do the same thing with the silver. Wipe off the edge, set it on the tray. Do not stack the gold and the silver sticks. Then you're going to put those lids on, and you're going to close the whole egg carton, and all of your clean brushes are going to be sitting on your tray, not touching your gold and silver wet paint, and then I will check that you've cleaned up correctly before I dismiss you.